Construction approval stakeholders in Jamaica. Is there a gap? With this video, I intend to shed some light as to what is the current approval process for construction projects in Jamaica. This video is as a result of a video I created relating to a project that is built near to a river system, and questions would have been asked: who gave approval, etc. Now, with the Google as reference, construction approval in Jamaica involves a multi-agency process aimed at ensuring compliance with building codes, environmental regulations, and zoning laws. The primary authority for granting approval is the local municipal corporation, formerly the parish council. Now, among other things, the parish councils are responsible for receiving applications, checking for compliance with the national building codes, and issuing building permits. Other key personnel is the Physical Planning and Environmental Committee, a committee within the municipal corporation that reviews and grants final approval, a process that usually takes 6 to 8 weeks. So at this point, you should take away that the municipal corporation as well as the planning committee are the key decision makers in building permits being approved and granted. There does exist other key referral agencies for technical and regulatory reasons. Among them, NEPA, National Environment and Planning Agency. They handle environmental permits, subdivision approvals, and ensures development conforms with environmental regulations. NWA, or the National Works Agency. They evaluate applications regarding main roads, traffic, drainage, and structural safety, particularly for large projects. Ministry of Health, the Environmental Health Unit. They review proposals for public health compliance, sewage disposal, and sanitary facilities. National Water Commission. They ensure adequate water supply and sewage disposal systems. Jamaica Fire Brigade. They review building plans for fire safety. The Mines and Geology Division. They play a crucial regulatory and advisory role in construction approvals, particularly regarding land stability, resource extraction such as quarrying, and mineral rights. Its primary responsibility is to ensure that development projects, especially those on hillsides or near former mining sites, are safe, compliant, and within environmental standards, as well as do not sterilize valuable mineral resources. Now, at this stage, you should be able to take away that the municipal corporations at the parish level is central for all building permits to be granted. Depending on the nature of the project, certain or specific agencies will also be involved in the approval process. Now, in this being said, there are also key professionals that are mentioned. These include architects, engineers, required to design and stamp plans for buildings greater than 300 meters square or complex structures to ensure compliance with the Jamaica Building Code. Licensed draftsman, qualified to design smaller, less complex buildings under 300 meters square. Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, represents building contractors in negotiations, including labor and industry standards. Land surveyors, essential for providing survey reports to define property boundaries necessary for the application. So essentially, projects for construction in Jamaica, the professionals involved include engineers, architects, draftsmen, land surveyors. These professionals even have their associations that represent these professionals. And in this respect, their mention indicates that that's the totality of the contracted personnel specific for the projects. The gap includes non-mention of geo-specific professionals. In other words, geologists, geoscientists, environmental geologists, hydrogeologists. The only mention is made of the agency, Mines and Geology Division, and Mines and Geology as a division or as an agency primarily is for regulation, adherence, and where applicable for the creation of, let's just say, maps, and other kind of schematics that can be relevant to the professionals as they go about doing their work for the projects. But in terms of site investigation and other related testing specific for the sites, that is not necessarily done by mines and geology, and not having the geologist specific professional on the project, as an example relative to the engineers specific on the project and not just the Jamaica Institute of Engineers, is where a gap is. Of course, there may also be other gaps related to whether or not enforcement is a factor, whether or not it's a case where, there could be that the whole context of the approval process, there would have been somewhere down the line that an agency was not consulted, and or based on whatever it was the feedback given, the recommendation was not also adhered to. That is not explicit in terms of how that is actually handled based on what is available in the public domain. But notwithstanding, our role as citizens and members of the public is to ensure that, in terms of what is present in the laws and what is available for the public to be aware of, that we are not being blind in terms of how we treat with what it is that we are seeing in these construction projects.